I need my pain, don't take it away. My side makes me special.
Hey, welcome back to the Ariel Show. Hope you had an amazing week. I'm Ariel, and today we're talking about positivity, what to do when life sucks. And honestly, life does suck a real portion of the time. And I think we do ourselves no favors when we minimize that and just kind of try to ignore that part of the human experience. It is part of it, and so the sooner we can accept that, I think the sooner we can make peace with that. I often see comments from my fans and viewers saying, "Oh my God, how can I stay so positive? I wish I was always positive like you." And the answer is, I don't stay positive. All of us are dealing with stuff. All of us are having a hard time. For me, that's helpful to remember because then I don't feel like such a crazy person when things aren't working out, when I'm getting super emotional. I try to remember like, okay, I'm not alone in this. There are people all over the world freaking out with me. And that's just the truth. I try to stay positive, but sometimes I get sucked into that current and I feel helpless. But the truth is, I'm not helpless. There are things that I can do to make me feel better. I do have tools, and I've worked really hard for a long time to develop those tools, and that's what I want to share with you. Whenever I'm feeling down, when I'm having a bad day, it really helps me to keep in mind that life is ebb and flow. So I think of this like ocean waves, come and you go, and like that's just the rhythm of life. That's the rhythm of the seasons. It's like inherently built into creation is ebb and flow. And so myself being a creative being, I'm part of ebb and flow. And speaking of, I'm also a creative person. So my creativity will come and it will go. And sometimes I'll be able to flourish and write these awesome songs and feel really great about my life. And sometimes I'll be on the other side of that and I'll just be suffering. And that's okay. The point is to not suffer over our suffering. We can't be beating ourselves up for feeling the way that we feel. Because in all honesty, I'm kind of grateful that I'm an artist, and that means I'm multifaceted. I'm gonna be complex. There's gonna be a lot going on in my brain, in my heart all the time. So I give myself permission to feel that. And same for you. All of us are artists at some level. All of us are creative people in some way. So it's okay that you're not always like waking up feeling like sunshine. One of the most practical go-to tools in my feel-good toolbox is immersing myself in outside-in content. So instead of trying to hack into my head and fix everything, I'm just forcing myself to watch something, read something that I know is gonna put me in a better place. So that can be throwing on an audiobook, it can be reading an actual book, it can be watching a TED Talk, a documentary, a YouTube video, anything that's gonna interrupt my state, get me out of my head so I don't keep spiraling down that crazy cycle, something to kind of bring me back in. And I find that's a great way to interrupt that cycle of pain, of sadness, of negativity. But I also find that it helps me not even get to that place in the first place. If I can be in a positive place and then stay on that positive place by continually feeding myself helpful, inspirational content, then I'm gonna stay that course longer and not spiral out of control quite as quickly. But it's when I forget to feed myself all that awesome stuff that I do end up in a bad place, and then I have to dig myself out. And so I've just learned that keeping my momentum is a lot easier than losing it and then regaining it. So if I am in kind of a good place, I try to build on that and be like, okay, we're in a flow right now, right? Like, let's stay in that flow, let's enjoy this, get as much out of it as we can. So I'm gonna try to stay in that place rather than worrying, oh my God, I'm gonna crash. When's the next ebb time? When's the next down time gonna be? I just try to enjoy that moment, not freak out, breathe my way through it, and know that the ebb will come. But if I'm in the flow, I'm gonna let myself enjoy that. Something else I found that helps is I have little check-ins with myself. Lately, what I've been doing is every time I wash my hands using my lavender soap in my bathroom, I think about how I'm doing and I check in with myself, and I intentionally try to think kind of a happy thought. So I'll think something like, oh, I'm so glad for this moment in my day, or I try to be grateful for something, just kind of bring myself this little ping of inspiration and joy and gratitude into my day. So maybe you can set up something like that in your life as well, even if you want to set the reminder on your phone. And the point is to check in and have a moment of intentional joy and happiness. And then something else that's been helping me lately, which is really on the practical side and might not help for all of you, but the weather affects me a lot, like a crazy amount. And if it's cloudy for too long, for too many days in a row, I can freak out. And so what's been helping me with that, especially in the wintertime when it's cloudy all the time, is just checking the weather in advance. And for some reason, knowing, okay, it's gonna be cloudy for the next 10 days, knowing that there's this long chunk of cloudy weather coming helps me not get so wrapped up in that and feel the sadness and the pain of that. And so knowing like, okay, we're gonna get through to day 11, and then what's been happening honestly is that there have been surprise bursts of sunshine, and I've been like so excited, like feeling like it's a bonus instead of being mad that it's cloudy all the time. And really that can kind of be a lesson where knowing what's coming can be helpful. So if you know, okay, I'm gonna be in this school I don't like for 3 more years, if you can kind of accept that, stop resisting it, time it out and know, okay, we've got till 3 years. And you don't wanna go through that whole time holding your breath by any means, but that can be easier easier instead of feeling the new pain of that, suffering with it every single day. Sort of accepting it and moving on can be really helpful. And my last tip for getting through the suck today is I try to imagine myself as a happy person. Now, I don't inherently think of myself as this super happy person. I think of myself as someone who tries really hard to be happy, but it's an uphill battle, it's a conscious fight. So if I can spend some moments imagining that happiness comes easy to me, that can fight those tendencies that I have to think of myself as a sad person or as someone who has depression. If I view myself through that lens and I think, oh, I'm one of those depressed people, it's just gonna kind of keep me in that space. So I try to think like, oh my God, what if I was one of those happy people? How would that feel? What if I was one of those people that was born with so much just joy and happiness all the time? And if I can imagine that, it puts me in a good spot to feel it like genuinely for real. So that's been something I've been working on for the last couple of years actually, is becoming one of those happy people. And just wrapping up, I know happiness is scary. I know joy is a freaky concept because depression, sadness, pain is something that is much more familiar to most of us. Most of us know what to do with that. We don't know what to do with the opposite. So if you don't have any happiness in your life, just slowly start warming up to the idea. Try imagining, what would my life be like if I was happy, like genuinely. And I've mentioned this before, but it's worth saying again, you don't have to change your personality to be genuinely joyful. Like if you're happy, you don't have to wear bright clothes and go pick daisies all the time and be like super out of touch with reality. You can be you and just not hate your life. So consider that possibility. Thank you for watching. It's time to share our supporter of the week. Woo! Today's supporter of the week is Benjamin Matthew Bycroft. Benjamin is one of my supporters on patreon.com. If you haven't heard, Patreon is what runs this whole show. So I've got a group of people that every week support the show, keep it going. That way I can keep offering it for free on YouTube to everybody who needs it. Please subscribe right here so you don't miss any videos. I love you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Hand onto the scars.